Thomas Restoration, and today I've got a video for you that is going to be how to make a new drawer slide for a drawer. And if you're a follower of mine, you know that I have made another video like this, but it was a little bit kind of low effort on my part, you know. It was when I first got started on YouTube making videos and stuff like that, so I wanted to do another one that was a little bit more in depth. And in this specific video, I actually I got a little bit of kind of inspiration for it from a video by, I think it was like Deer Shop and Workshop or something like that. But he did a video about making drawer slides and repairing drawer runners. But this one is going to be a little bit more specific to this type of drawer runner. So, you know, between a regular T-Track drawer slide for vintage hardware, or for if you kind of have what I have, I think between those two videos you should be able to kind of figure out how to make a new runner. But anyway, yeah, so what I've got here is, the drawer's a little tight right now because it's a brand new drawer slide, it's wooden, you know. But I mean, at the end of the day, it functions as it should. It's not perfect, but basically I've got this style of drawer here, and I'll let you see it. You know, just a classic kind of cheap mid-century style piece. And I'm actually going to take this other drawer slide out above it so you can see it. But here's what we're looking at. A T-style track for it. And it also has kind of like a divoted section right here for a little stop. That's right there. And it's not that useful, I'm going to be honest with you. It's really not an essential component. But anyway, you know, this is not the best design for a drawer slide. And in my opinion, this is going to be prone to cracking. This is going to be prone to cracking, which is probably exactly what happened with the old one. Yeah, basically junk at this point. But, you know, so this part cracks, and that's another video that, you know, about making good drawer slides. That could be a totally different discussion. But basically I just made a replica for it, and that's really what this video is going to be about. Now, it's not like perfectly smooth. I need to still clean up the inside here a little bit with some sandpaper, but otherwise, you know, it looks and functions as it should. So I'm taking the old runner out, and I apologize for the camera being off focus, but I did get that figured out by the end of the video. I'll use the top one, which is the good one, we'll call that the good one, as the setup for my table saw, but the bad one, or the broken one, we'll call that one, is going to be necessary for drilling your holes and using a template. I like to drill my holes in the exact same place that they were from originally. I've heard a lot of people don't like to do that, but if necessary, I'll just get a bigger screw and put it in there, but I'd rather have it in the same place. And I'm just using a piece of cherry that was already kind of close to the thickness of what I needed. But it, yeah, I mean, it was pretty close to the thickness of this drawer slide, but I cut it to the length, the thickness, and the width. I did the length on the chop saw, and I did the width and the thickness here on the table saw. Like I said, sorry for the bad camera focus, but what I'm doing is I am setting up the outside walls for that dado on the top. So basically, that dado should be centered. So if I make one cut, I should be able to flip it over and, in theory, cut the other side, and I shouldn't have to do any adjusting. Then I'll just hog out the middle, and that's really it. The only problem is that sometimes the way that the old slide was, it wasn't exactly centered. But for this one, it sufficed. And I didn't have to do any adjusting on the top. I did on the sides, though. And so now I'm just going to check the depth, and I'll do the other side. I mean, basically the same exact way. I'll do both sides like this, and then I'll have to reset my saw after that to do the bottom wall on both sides. Kind of similar to the top, but of course you can't just flip it over and cut this side dados because they're not centered. But I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of adjusting. I just happen to have a cheap kind of, I mean, it's a nice table saw. It's a big table saw, for me anyway. But it's overseas and it's got a cheap fence on it. And so now I'm just using my old drawer slide here, the bad one, that was cracked, to get kind of like a template. And I'll drill a hole and then I'll countersink within that, and that'll be where I'll go. And now with that done, I'm going to cut out a little bit of a dado right here, and this is just to adjust for the height. You might actually want to try this before you start dadoing it out, but I was pretty dead on with the thickness, so I was pretty sure that it was going to fit. Even if it's a little bit off, you can always raise or lower it up. Obviously, if it's too deep, there's not really much you can do with that besides start over. So I would recommend checking to make sure before you cut out too much. And then I'm going to reinstall it. Really, all that needs to happen here is just use the same screws, put a little bit of paste wax on. It's going to be tight at first. It's just how it is. But I checked it. It's not perfect, but it looks basically like it should. And the height and the spacing between the drawer looks okay. Other than that, the only thing is that I probably could have made it with a little bit more slop in it, because it is going to take a little bit of kind of pulling the drawer out and putting it back in to get it to where it's perfectly smooth.